Quick pitch on Variegate. So we Destiny brought about 10 different guys together back early this year, back in January. We all came from different projects. Several of them had rugged, and we were just simply tired of it. So we got to discussing, a few of us in the background, and then we've brought valuable team members on since. But we decided we want to make a transparent project, something that'll make our holders proud. Uh, and again, just a way for when new people enter the market. Because, right now, I think, I don't, it's been a while since I looked at these percentages, but maybe, 15, 20% of like the adult American population. And then I'm not quite sure worldwide, it may even be lower, has entered the crypto market. So there's still a lot of new people to come in. And we don't want that to happen to those folks. Some of the things that have happened to us, and I'm sure other people in this call as well, whether if it's getting rugged or, a honeypot where you can't sell or, whatever it may be. So what we want to do is create a rewards token, but at the same time, someone can enter the market and learn about pretty much any project on the BSC side. So we say we want to own the bear market by being really, even if you don't even hold the token, but whether if you're in the ecosystem as well and just in the community. But we want to be the melting pot of the Binance Smart Chain. Basically, if you're in our chat, you can promote your project. You're not going to get banned for shilling. It's actually what we promote. We want you to come in, tell us about your project. You'll notice our community is pretty much a mix of people from all other communities, and we kind of joke, it's always, these other projects, and we'll put a little sad face, like when Variegate love, but it's kind of what we really enjoy is just having a mix of all of these different communities. We keep track of what everyone's accomplishing. We share that news, and we're essentially free marketing for other projects that we deem to be safe and that are working hard and have great communities, and it's not going to scam anybody. So we've created really this Unite DeFi circle within the space. And, we didn't create Unite DeFi, but we're definitely helping promote it. And it means something if you're really kind of accepted within that circle. So, but at the core, again, we have a 10-member team. We've actually just recently brought on Pixel. She brings gaming, NFTs, and then some of the metaverse items to the project. She's only been with us for a few weeks though, so we currently have a 10-person team. We launched Memorial Day weekend back in May, and again, we're a rewards token, so it's truly community determined. So we utilize polls on various platforms, whether if it's Twitter, Telegram, Discord, and Reddit, and soon to come into some other areas, which we don't want to get into a ton. We don't want to release some of the things that we're working on, but community determined. So we put 4 projects up against each other for the first 3 weeks of the month. And then there's 2 winners for each of those weeks. And then the final week of the month, there are 6 projects. And then for the order of the polls, that determines that next month's rewards. So the rewards change every day. The top voted project gets the Friday payday and Saturday slot. So they get 2 days. So we have 6 rewards every week. And essentially, because we are in a low volume period, the holder can pretty much choose which day they want to pull the rewards. We do have a D app, Variegate token.app, where a user can connect their wallet, see their holdings, see the dollar value, see the reward for the day, and then choose to pull that reward out if they would like. And we also have micro staking that is built into the contract, so you don't have to do anything with it, but essentially it rewards people for holding. So if you are a first-time buyer of Variegate, so there's a BNB pool, right, that builds up within the contract to disperse as rewards. If you are a first-time holder, that wallet address is only eligible for 50% of your percentage that you would otherwise get at 100 when you first buy. And then each day that you hold, that goes up 1%. So if you hold for 50 days, you are now 100% eligible for your wallet's percentage of the supply, obviously, to get out of that BNB pool. So it promotes holding, and it also, if someone else sells, you might actually get more than your percentage because that BNB pool is still there. And if another person's only getting 50% of what they should get, then that is just going to you. If you're getting 75% or even 100% of your rewards. So that's an interesting concept as well. Uh, we've done some good things in terms of networking. We've also just started our digital media platform. So essentially, every AMA that we do is posted on YouTube. It's posted on wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, well, if it's Spotify, Amazon Music, etc. This one will be on there as well. And again, we want to just share knowledge of other projects while in return, basically, you're getting tokenized for that. It's all community determined. You choose. The community chooses who they want as rewards. We again want to be the melting pot of the Binance Smart Chain. So at the end of the day, if you're a new crypto holder or new to the DeFi space, or you're a veteran in the space and been around several years, Variegate wants to help you own the bear market. So, Mike, Matt, anything else to add?
No, I was going to say just timing wise, it worked out that we have MetaCaptain on because right now in our poll, we do have Affinity, Blockblend, BUSDY, Busty, and then MetaBUSD. So they're all vying for those September reward slots right now. So like Josh said, it's on 4 platforms. So if you do vote on Reddit, Discord, Telegram, and Twitter, those votes will all count separately and be counted towards the total. But if you do follow Variegate on Twitter and you vote on Twitter as well as retweet and comment with who you voted on, that vote will count twice. So keep that in mind too. Just another neat feature. And to your point too, like it's all verifiable what Josh was saying before, the amount of time. Like we get off some of these AMAs and I'm like, man, did we even talk about ourselves on here? Like we're so interested obviously in hearing about these other projects that either we don't know about or the community doesn't know about, and letting them discover obviously all the different benefits and utility that they have, that we kind of like forget about ourselves and promoting ourselves because we're just intrigued and listening to whoever's presenting with what they have going on.
So before we dive into my stuff, I actually have 2 questions since we went over all this stuff. My first question is: are those rewards that the hodlers are receiving, are those individually claims, or do you claim it all at once?
So the contract will either automatically push it out, or if there's a day that you have rewards built up, and say like on Monday or whatever day it is, say it's Affinity, you can actually go to the D app and claim those rewards. So there's 2 different ways. You can do it yourself, or you can just wait for the contract to push it out automatically.
Okay, so it'll still work like a typical distributor. It'll just hit that threshold, and then just everything gets pushed once it's over the gas limit plus.
Correct.
Okay. And then second question. I think I know. Let me just ask you guys. So if a token is being reflected, is it a requirement that they whitelist?
It's not a requirement. It's definitely preferred, and we do have quite a few that are whitelisted. So it's one of those things where it's just dependent on the token itself and the project and what we agree to.
Okay, just curious. Yeah, it. I can see it from both sides. Obviously, it's more beneficial to the reflectionary token that's getting reflected if it's not whitelisted, but it's also less beneficial to your community if it's not whitelisted.
The thing about a lot of our rewards are basically those community members make up our community. So we have no problem with not whitelisting because at the end of the day, our holders are probably holding those tokens as well. So Variegate, again, not only are we helping market your project, not only are we, helping spread the word about your project, but we're also bringing potential volume. We're adding new holders. So, I mean, and then depending on that project's tokenomics, we could also be, just by holding or someone buying Variegate, we might be burning other projects supply if that's what's built into their contract, which we have seen. And then, we also say, our holders are being sent Affinity, so that means they're also compounding ADA and BUSD rewards as well. So, we have no problem with not whitelisting because we know at the end of the day, it plays in line with us helping these other projects.
Is Affinity the only permanent partner?
So there are no permanent partners. Affinity has just won their polls, and the community has determined that's who they want. But no one's
Oh, that's
permanent.
awesome.
Yeah, no one's safe. If you want a project in, you better vote for them. But it's again, it's completely community determined. Whoever they want, we'll throw them in there.
Well, they have a really rock solid community. Affinities, they got just like a strong base community that's willing to move mountains with them anywhere they go. Much respect to the Affinity community.
Yeah, quite a few people in here, myself included. But yeah, the whole team over there, both the Chris's, you got, what is it? Crypt Torment. Chris is, I guess he's now officially Chris on Twitter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So
So you
I,
got
I work pretty close with those guys actually, and Zach. And not just like with Affinity, but with some other project stuff. They're all great guys.
yeah, and then Paul too. Definitely good guys over there.
Actually, one thing I'll just add real quick, and with a lot of the projects that we work with, if they do have very interesting utilities, we do try to take advantage of those and add those. So if like say, like with Affinity Swapper, we got on their Swapper, or we did Useless, we got into their All for One app. We really do try to utilize. It's not just gaining holders. With the more projects that we find or talk to, if there's good utility that we can use for ours, we definitely utilize that and help you guys out as much as possible.
Absolutely. That's just like a really good, smart way of going about it too for growing your community as well. Everybody's communities all the way around. We've MetaBUSD operates in very much the same respect. Now we do it for slightly different reasons. We're a very dedicated VR project, so we really focus all of our attention and development towards that. I've been a developer in the space for a long time, and I develop for uh, many projects and companies now. So as far as your typical DeFi utility stuff that you usually see, like the swaps and the marketplaces and stuff like that, we've always found it much easier to just partner with a project that already has that to offer. That's you know stand up and in a well received product. So it not only has it benefited us as far as development costs has been reduced, and we're able to just utilize those utilities for our hodlers. It also has helped us grow our community reach in time. I believe, at least I truly think it's a a solid return for having to on occasion pay for those services and such and so on.
So what is your backstory? Like, give us a little intro to you guys and how you guys came about. Because you were November of last year?
Before you get into that, and sorry for interrupting you, let's do just an official intro real quick that we typically do, and then let's do a deep dive into your project. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I would like to welcome everyone tonight to another Variegate Networking AMA. Again, helping you own the bear market. It is August 17th, 2022. BNB is currently trading in the $305 range. We do have several members of Variegate on. Myself, who is Josh, KY Hodel on Telegram. We do have Robbie here on the call, Variegate Matt, Original Mike. And then we do have Sean, who is the random pictures of the mushrooms down there, and Odyssey Venture, who is a close partner as well. So several team members on. What you hear here, of course, is not financial advice. Please do your own research. As usual, we would like to thank our 6 rewards for August. That is RocketFi, Blockblend, Affinity, DKYC, DFS Mafia, and Clearwater. So again, we do have MetaBUSD on the call tonight. They are currently on the poll to determine September rewards. So check that out on Twitter, Discord, our Telegram, and on Reddit, and more to come. So again, Meta Captain, appreciate you joining us tonight. I also appreciate you asking about the project and letting us get a little plug here on our own AMA. That's not something that we do a whole lot. So again, nice to have you on tonight. Let's do a little deep dive into MetaBUSD and let's get it started.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I host a lot of spaces that are just like this with other projects, and I can understand personally how you forget to talk about your project. And I thought it was important to talk about it before we, got started. Again, thank you for having me on. MetaBUSD coin, we obviously are Binance Smart Chain rewards token. We launched December 19th of last year was our official launch date. We offer we launched at 4% BUSD rewards. We have upped that to 5% BUSD rewards. We adjusted all of our taxes not too long ago to kind of fit the bear market. And in general, our roadmap from day one has been to always reduce our taxes, probably down to a 5% level, I think. But currently, our taxes are 5% BUSD rewards, 3% towards liquidity, 2% towards operations and marketing. Yeah, so we've had a long journey. We had a pretty, momentous start. At first, it was real slow. We did a small launch right out of Discord. I was already okay well known within certain right communities that people had enough trust in me that we were able to just do a private launch. So we raised 80 BNB, I believe, at the time. And we just paired all 80 BNB directly into liquidity. Everybody who purchased from that sale, they purchased at launch price. So nobody got a boost from that private sale to fair market launch. It was just the easiest method that we could think of to launch and not have a $50 whale on the charts, with also not restricting the contract immensely. So we decided to keep the contract fairly open and basic. That way it would allow regular trading as soon as possible. And this was the way to have the fairest launch possible. That's what we did. Started out fairly okay. We did a quick typical 5 or 6x from that small launch, from the 250,000 market cap up to 1 million or 1.5 or something like that. And then from there we went on a month run all the way up to 8 million. And as every project almost, it seems like, we kind of hit a weird wall at that point. And we slowly started to down trade, consolidate, and kind of just stayed in a long rut for a while. During that time, we've just continued to build and to do what we really do, and that's develop Web3 VR service tools. And what I mean by that is you currently have a weird immersion of technologies from different directions. Everybody's doing new, different Web3 dApps and interactions just on a basic Web 2 model currently. They throw up a website, connect a wallet, you can play games, you can do stuff like that. And then even whenever you see your play to earn experiences, even when they're in depth, a lot of them still are just based around simple transaction function within the game. So you're buying something, and your purchase of that item possibly gives you another reward in game, or gives you a small little perk in game, something like that. Well, while we're already developing VR currently, I have a team behind me, of course, VR developers, where we were already doing VR development on our own. time. So you're already introducing like fairly new physics to a game engine. Even now, like if anybody's out there doing any development and you're currently using Unity or Unreal Engine, you're using anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. Because if you're using those software suites, you're currently using physics engines not designed for VR, but like simply adapted for VR. So whenever you get into like actual um, interaction development within like quote unquote, because I hate saying in game because we don't build games, we just build lobbies and tools and but when you're having like an in-game interaction, that's set upon like colliders collecting data in between one another and feeding that data back through some type of loop. Well, we're already having to like re-engineer how that stuff works in order for it to feel immersive and correct for you in VR, for it to like properly trick the brain and for it to feel smooth and good. That's things that we were already working on. So if we're working on that, then we should probably be able to introduce new ways of interacting on like a very micro level within immersions to actually facilitate Web3 calls and to actually collect on-chain data. So that's where like the basis start of the project came from, was like, hey, I bet we can do this and we would be pretty good at doing it. And that's in a nutshell what we do. So what that turns out to, like, the end user has seen from like a creative standpoint, is we have things built and designed like NFT claw machines where you can like run a claw machine in VR. It feels and looks like a real claw machine that you would see at an arcade machine or arcade lobby. And you can participate in this at a randomized function and actually mint NFTs through a live contract, um, and receive them right there in your wallet as well as like an item in game. Um, we've built arcade tables, arcade towers, ping pong tables. This this sounds like funny and like gimmicky, but it's not, because what we've actually done is we've just built the tool set that would allow other people to come through and build out their own assets, and within these assets be able to collect that on-chain data and in return provide like their own their own loop, whether or not that be like a play to earn experience, whether or not that be just a tracking experience of usage or of runtime, all of that data right there back on chain. So in return, what that does for us, because we have like a lot of project partners, so DFS Mafia, one that you guys mentioned, they're one that is somebody that we've continued to build for, and we will completely embed their platform within our metaverse. So we'll have a large metaverse lobby, and there will be like an existing sports bar area that you'll go to actually go on platform for DFS. So you'll be able to spend your DFS tokens right then and there in their actual sports. I don't know what you call it, sports gaming event. Their fan. I'm not a sports guy. I apologize, but their daily fantasy sports platform will be available within our Web3 VR lobby. Um, the interaction, of course, for the most part, is the immersive part will be like their setting, their branding, and what they want to advertise within that space. Their actual platform will just literally be like a web loop to their stuff. So in our space, what it would look like to you is one of those stand-up screens that are like in bars now that you can play trivia games on. It'll look like that, but whenever you walk up to it, it'll actually just be displaying DFS's existing platform. It can be as simple of an embed as that. And like that's as far as it goes, and they don't want to do anything else. Or we can take it a lot further. One project that we dropped that we were doing for a while though was like brew labs, and we were adapting all of their farms into actual farms. So you go there, you farm, you you know you tend to the ground, you throw some water on there. Once you've completed these steps, you've now actually are able to harvest your farmed collection from there. It's not something necessarily that everybody's going to go and participate in, but it's just about like stirring the idea and the creation for other projects on what the possibilities really are and what they can do. So that's really what we're about. I'm sorry I went into such a weird tangent there about like what we are, because I missed a lot of other things. Of course, we have NFTs on the market, we have staking on the market, farming on the market. A lot of the typical DeFi things that you can think of. Of course, we offer these things. We provide these services for a lot of other tokens and projects. But at the root of it all, what we are and what we love to do and what we're truly focused on is true VR tooling development.
What's the breakdown of your tokenomics there? I know you do 5% rewards to holders on BUSD.
Yes, and then I might be getting this backwards. I think it could be 2% to liquidity and then 3% to marketing and development.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've just been trying to check out your website tonight and look at everything because I know I've seen you around forever, but I never really had a chance to dive into the project and everything. So it's good to learn about the other stuff. Did not know about the DFS partnership either, so that was cool to learn.
Yeah, we kind of do that on purpose, just to be honest with you. I've been in this space for a long time. I've worked for most of the projects you've all heard and talked about. Um, the I hate the hype for no reason, so we've always operated like as pretty low key as possible. And like our current market state, it's a little bit harder to just because there's just so much talk about MetaBUSD coin right now. But that being said, up until now, for our entire existence, we've really honestly just tried to stay as low key as possible. For instance, our pre-sale, we didn't raise any marketing money. We didn't hold anything back for that. Our entire existence, we've had like fairly low volume. I think our volume to date's maybe like 6 million total volume since we've been live on mainnet. Um, all of this has been like purposefully done. We're not trying to overhype stuff or anything like that. We're very realistic about like what we're delivering, like as far as VR development too. We're not promising you like a photorealistic metaverse world, anything like that. It's not possible. Speaking as somebody who's been involved in this development for a long time, it's not practical and it's not possible and it's not scalable. You're not going to be able to expand into like a large open market. I pay for some of the best networking solutions that you can pay for currently. Um, Anyways, so that being said, we're very realistic with our community about what we're delivering, what we have to offer, and what we're capable of doing. Um, it's caught the attention of like the right people in time, and we have really great partnerships, and we're working on some projects right now with some really large capitalized people, and I think it's all really paid off for us well. And at the same time, we've been able to dodge like because like let's be real, we're 9 months old now, and everything that we've put out so far, and we have put out a lot of like VR stuff, has all been like non-revenue generating though. Everything that we've put out has been non-revenue generating, and we're just now getting to the point to where we're finally releasing or getting ready to release some revenue generating VR utility, as well as some of the partnerships that we've been able to get have really allowed us to ramp up like our development cost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I was going to ask you too because I knew kind of where you were headed with the other thing. So, how many holders have you gained in the past like week and a half, 2 weeks?
Oh, I gained like 6,000 holders.
Yeah.
I've lost 1,000 since then though. At the same time, so
No, I hear. So, how did that partnership come about for you being rewarded on there? Did they approach you, or just went like, "Hey, you're going to be rewarded on here for blockbusters"? Before that, obviously debacle the past week.
All right, so the way it actually worked was, and I don't know if like this is why, but somebody gave Don Bailey my name as like the guy that should be the creator of the protocol. So Don Bailey came to me 5-6 months ago and asked me if I could create this protocol for him. At the time when he shared it with me, and I have actually shared this with other people just to like prove it to other people. And I have shared it publicly. But at the time when he shared it with me, MetaBUSD was already listed as a reflection partner. And that original list till now, only 2 projects ever changed. So I believe that either it was always on his mind to reflect MetaBUSD just because we were a BUSD token and we were fairly small cap, because a part of Blockbuster's like protocol is the entire like liquidity injection part, and it's better for them to actually operate with smaller caps, especially at first. But I don't know if it was for that reason or because he wanted me to work on his protocol. It very well could be the second one. That being said, like I accepted at the time. As things moved along, I got really, really busy, and that's actually how they got handed off to Fiber and ended up going with like Fiber's development, because I personally couldn't take on the project anymore, and everybody had decided to just move it over there, and that's how that story goes.
Yeah, it's just interesting how time can change everything. Like if you look back now, possibly if you were just on the job the whole time, maybe we don't have the story that's going on this past week. And you know what I mean? So just it's cool to see that you guys were on there. I saw like the volume that each of you guys were getting that were the rewards on there. And that's why my first question was like, you had to have skyrocketed in terms of awareness and people being on there too. So
When it kicks back in, there's like already like before the volume starts from either the massive sell off or like the buys that come in, who knows? But when it kicks back in, there's already like $450,000 queued for rewards. So that plus whatever volume comes whenever it turns back on. So like there's like still like another giant round of buys for everybody. But
yeah,
I believe
still waiting to happen, right?
Yeah, but I believe they have fixed it to not buy the same way it did last time. Because, like, honestly, I think every project that was involved, all but like 1 or 2 of them, are all almost back at the same level that they were before, like the buys themselves. So like all it did for those projects, which is great for the volume and the holders and everything, but all it did was for those projects, which is that giant green candle on all their charts, was also a giant red candle within the next like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, no, I
But
remember seeing one of the buys come in for some ridiculous amount, like 80,000 or something on Affinity. So just remember being like, "Who's that?" And then we realized that, yeah, that's right, it's the rewards contract buying.
yeah, yeah. It's actually really cool that Affinity's one that, for instance, was added like since I first saw the protocol to the time it actually went live, from point A to point B. At some point they were added along the way, which is really cool that they were. And like for instance, their chart's actually one that's done better. That's been able to retain the value that came from those buys a little bit better than some of the other charts.
6,000 holders, huh?
Yeah, 6,000 holders. We only had like 4,000 before. It's hard to say because we have staking, and our staking leaves your wallet, but we were always like fairly close to 4,000, but then right before all the buys and everything happened, we were like right at 4,000, I want to say, and then we went to 10,011, and I applied for Trust Wallet immediately. and they gave it to me, thank the Lord. And then since then I think we've probably lost 1,000 holders or somewhere close to it. I think we're down to like 9,038. People selling like off all their reflections since they can't sell them. since they can't sell the blockbuster token. So they're just selling off all their
At
their
5,000.
rewards. Well, and they know they'll get some more. So
Yeah, trust is 10, right? Like once you hit 10, you can apply to have your actual logo, right?
yeah, and like, man, that sucks because like, so like, I was even working with a project right before I was working, right before I started MetaBUSD coin, and I don't know how many holders they had, but it definitely wasn't 10,000. Um, like maybe 3,000, maybe, and I'm pretty sure they had their logo. And like 2 months later, I apply for a logo for MetaBUSD, and they turned me down twice, both times for not having 10,000 holders. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really nervous because whenever I applied this time, I had 10,005, and then like by the time they got back to me, I had 9,090 or 9,990, and I was like, man, they're gonna say no, I bet. But they said yes, which was awesome.
Yeah, knowing the right people in the space definitely seems to help a lot with things, besides obviously having unlimited funds to throw at things.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think that's one of the shock to a lot of people once like they start projects for themselves and they start moving things along, like how much of this space really is like pay to play to some level. Like even small things like BSC scan. Like you can submit something to them and like yeah, it'll get changed and done anywhere from like 1 to 2 weeks. Or you can submit something to them and pay like $1,500 and have it done overnight. And it's like that's how it is almost with everything in this space. And it seems to be that like for a lot of things, like it's clearly overpriced and nobody cares. Nobody says anything about it. It's wild.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing too, like just bringing like you guys together, obviously with us and everything. It's just one of those that we like to get to know who the people are out there, and then obviously make those connections. So if you need something, we're able to help you out. If you need something, we could get you the right people. If we can't personally help you with it, it's just the networking definitely is beneficial, and in doing so too, like looking out for your holders, you look out for our holders kind of thing, making sure that people aren't putting their funds obviously into things that are obviously rug pulls or just something that doesn't have any long-term prospects. So it's just that's the greater thing I think we're all trying to accomplish with the Unite DeFi thing, is just really make the safe space like a safe, actual safe space, and not just say it, as we watch people get rugged left and right. And it seems to just be one of those things where I think people are finally starting to wake up and be like, you know what, maybe I should actually do some research and not just look at something that's trending on Twitter, or just something I'm hearing on TikTok or somewhere else, and just throw $50 in it. Maybe throw $50 into something that will be around for the long haul. So I'm glad to see that mindset's kind of starting to take form and actually like be applied by people. But it's just frustrating to watch people just hear the horror stories, because because you learn yourself, and this, you're like, oh, I did this, that, or the other thing, this happened, and then like 2 years later you're hearing the same stories from other people. So if you're able to obviously educate them and let them know about all these different safety things and things to look out for with projects, so you can guide them without them having to learn the hard way like you do.
When I first started doing this, I wanted like because I host a round table, what used to be once a week. Now it's like once a month because I'm so busy. A Unite DeFi roundtable. I've done it for I don't know a long, long time now. And I when I first started doing it, my mission was just to show people like how small this space was, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't like I didn't like I don't want to say that I didn't want to protect people, but like that wasn't like my mission. Like my mission at the time was literally just like, okay, I want to show like the general community and public that like this space really is like a lot smaller than you think. Most of us know each other and talk to each other. A lot of the problems that are like perceived online aren't necessarily true. Some of them are true, and some of them are worse than you thought. But like, just give like some enlightenment to how this space actually operates, because I think there's like this weird like perception out there about how this space works, and it's just like not actually true. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's weird because you do it for so long that you see like waves of good changes, and then you see like other waves of weird stuff. You're like, okay, it might be getting better. Oh, maybe it's not. Um, but I think I think I do see like a larger body of like projects now in the space that are working through stuff that would have been for sure shut down like a year ago, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah. No, we just know from things that have been just straight up abandoned, like where you're in a chat or a group and you're like, where are the developers or the founders? Are they still around? Like, what's going on?
yeah, and now I think you see like you still see that all the time, of course, but like you also still see projects like a fine example of it. Um, in my opinion at least, is Glow V2. You know, up until today they had a great day on their chart. But outside of today, this is a project that like has a fairly large community and has a large team. But if you look at their charts, they have no volume. If they have no volume, they have no revenue. That means nobody's getting paid, team included. And it's a large team, but they're all still active and pursuant of their goals. And like that to me is a very bullish sign on any team. Like when you see that going on. For instance, you guys said you have a large team, 10 members, I believe, correct?
Yeah, no, this is just definitely a straight up passion for us right now. The reward is just doing what we're doing on a daily basis, and just the end game is pretty much what we're looking at for our holders, and just getting to where we want, like with our different ideas that we have besides what we already have laid out.
Yeah, and like that is like a perfect sum up of like something to be bullish about. You see a team working hard. You know, volume's not great right now for any project. You know, like it's a bear market. B&B's been plummeting. So if you see a team that's like working towards something and like in front of the community and just pushing it still, then you know that the project is in somewhat good hands, because that means they're working at a zero cost or at a net loss, even in a lot of cases, for project standards. NBC is a fantastic example. If like I had to break out like the P&L sheets, I think people would be shocked about like how much I pay some of my devs and stuff. Clearly, that doesn't come from like NBC's volume. I have to supplement like what it costs to like actually run the project. And I think like you see that more and more often. Another project that is like that I know of, Nobility. You know, like it. I don't know if. Never mind. I don't know if they've ever acknowledged or talked about it, but so I'm not going to. But I know like Kyle has funded the project. I'm not going to put any like sums of money on
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but
No, I get you. It's the same thing too. Like with us, we've personally funded stuff. Like we've taken no funds out of development for anything personally or anything like that, and we've personally funded out of our own pocket things. Because when you have an idea and your funds aren't being pushed to you for dev funds, because people are like, what do you need dev funds for? Well, there's development of products. If you're not able to develop that product personally, you got to outsource it. And so when you have the people putting that product together for you, you need to have money for it. And so it's one of those things where it doesn't magically appear. So to your point, like, yeah, things happen and you got to like sometimes front that money. And like, that's what you're doing. Cause if you believe in the project and want to see it succeed, then you got to make those sacrifices. That's the bottom line.
yeah, and I think, you know, I think if you start a project, you should give it your all. Like that should be it. Like that's that's your penance. That makes sense. Like, that's what you're stuck with doing, because it's always a roll of the dice. Like anybody could have been like, another EGC or another Safe Moon or whatever, like with their launch. You never know what influencer's going to pick up on it and decide to pump their own bag. So it could happen to almost anybody. Um, and I think a lot of people decide to do that and see where it goes. And then whenever it doesn't turn out that they're the next larger than life thing, they walk away. But then once you see one that, like, hey, sticks around, sticks it out, even through the worst of times, in my opinion, as long as they're extremely active and still producing stuff, that's where like money should go in a bear market. If you are going to invest in something, invest in that team. Because whenever things do turn around and people are just throwing money at anything, and it will happen, it will happen eventually. Um, those are the teams that are going to be like poised to actually skyrocket.
Yeah, well said.
I wanted to
Sorry.
touch with you real quick. So you were saying about the VR spaces and stuff like that, the lobbies that you guys helping other tokens. Are you guys still going down that avenue? Like maybe if you wanted to just kind of share that, if there's any projects out there interested in a VR project. My experience is more on like the motion capture side, so it's like I don't have as much information on how that transfers over to VR, even though it's kind of similar.
Yeah, I mean, we're currently building things for many, many projects. DFS Mafia is one that like might even be more so us than it is Dan. I know Dan really well, like, and I have for a long time. But that's something that like I just wanted to take on, and he just gave me permission to. But we have other project partners that like have came to us. Glow V2 is one of them. That plan with Glow V2 is currently under major construction because that was like inherent on their NFT marketplace, and that's currently like on pause as we rework that. I actually have a meeting with them in 30 minutes about that. But as that gets reworked, they'll slide right back in. I think most people by now know that obviously we're metaverse builders for BBTF. I'm not allowed to say what they're doing, but we are building for them. Um, a few other larger projects, some that don't want things disclosed, so I can't say. But we do have projects approach us on a fairly regular basis to build out assets for them. And like that was kind of all a part of the plan. So like our very early releases were literally that has the only thing that we've actually pushed to the public live so far is like an AMA room within VR chat. It wasn't super extensive, but it demoed what we're capable of and what we build and what we do. And then we did advertising for all the projects within that space. So it quickly showed other projects, hey, I think these guys are willing to build for us and do stuff with us. So we do have quite a bit of interest constantly from other projects. At this point in time, because our plate's so full with our like initial release, we actually aren't taking on any more clients currently.
And you said they weren't revenue generating, or at least most of them weren't. So are you guys just doing like upfront fees, like builder costs, and like how does
Yeah,
that benefit the holders?
yeah, we do upfront fees and builder costs. Now, the what we're releasing now is revenue generating. So, like the stuff with DFS Mafia, that will be revenue generating. The stuff with Blockbusters, that's revenue generating. I just meant up till now we hadn't. So all of like, and for instance, we have done some like private contract work as well for other projects. And when we do that stuff, we collect upfront fees. We've worked with many, many projects on many different levels from development, whether it be metaverse or whether it just be simple Solidity contracts. Uh, we get upfront fees from that. And what we use those fees for are simple development costs, administrative costs, and so on and so forth. But like that, for instance, is all just like private consulting and advising work, and we funnel that cash right back into the project to continue to just push things forward.
That's awesome. It's always good to hear.
Yeah. It's worked out fairly well. We also have like a treasury wallet and a market making wallet that we've started that I don't know. I don't think it has a lot of money in it right now. I think probably has like 15 beans in it, maybe some like, I think it has some ETH or some Tether in it because we got paid like from the ETH side on a weird project. But that's something that we're just, as we get like a surplus of money. So just, I don't think I've ever even actually given this breakdown to anybody. But the way it usually works, if I take a consulting goal or something with somebody, then what we do is I'll charge a upfront cost of something. When that money comes in, after a threshold that pays myself for the work that I'm going to do, I turn that money over to like my CFO. And then, and depending on whether or not he's doing work for me as well, he gets paid something. And then the rollover goes into like the treasury. So, like, as we've continued to just get busier and busier and do more work, our treasury has grown in that manner, and we've used that to like help cover the cost of like listing fees and stuff. We did just list on Everrise. That isn't like the cheapest listing in the world, but we were able to do that with like private funds. Essentially, we didn't have to use the investors money. We generated that money ourselves and paid for it, which turns out to just be fantastic for all parties involved, and it is beneficial to like the end goal of making us like a forefront provider of these tools for not just like crypto projects, but for actual mainstream utilities. Like we want to be able to provide our tools to quickly plug into like something Nike's offering. And like they don't even have to partner with us. They don't have to have any relationship to us itself. They just need to use our tools.
Well, even beyond that, just like the wide scale entertainment structure of it. I mean, I was just in Vegas for honeymoon with my wife, and it was like everywhere you turn, there's a VR experience of some sort going down, and they're all just using off the shelf stuff that's been modified, like you were talking about. So, which is great for you guys because you can keep your costs down, so that way, comes through better for the holders in the end, not having to develop new technology.
Yeah, like another partnership that needs a little bit of nurturing right now, but another partnership that we have is with like EverReflect, and that's for VR concerts. And like that was another one of like the strong reasons why we started pushing everything really early on to like actually adopt this, is we were just coming out of like COVID, or not even coming out, we were still kind of in COVID, and that's where you actually saw some like VR adoption on a much larger scale than I had seen before, as far as like actual use and like lifetime people using it together as a community. I've been an avid VR user for years. I had like I had the first Oculus, and I've had everyone since. Like I had the Rift, and then I had the Go, and then I had the Quest One. So that being said, uh, you saw a noticeable uptick in people actually going in for virtual social experiences, and it showed you that like not only is it possible, but in my opinion, it's actually really cool. And like I have personal social anxiety issues that like sometimes can be like fairly debilitating in real life, like getting in like large crowds and stuff like that. But I don't have these problems online, and I don't have these problems in VR. So for a guy like me, it works out like fantastically well. Sorry.
Well, we'll get along right then. If we're ever at a conference or something, we can just hang out that way. We're the weird crew in the corner while everybody else is trying to network.
Yeah,
Straight
dude,
up.
I totally feel you on that. I'm like technically ADHD autism spectrum, so I'm always having that issue, and I've noticed the same thing in VR. There's just like this. I think it's kind of like the human psychology. You got that mask on, and when you've got that mask on, it allows you to just be a different person, not feel like you're being judged, kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I firmly agree with that.
Your project, I mean, you're pretty much creating what we all want Web3 to be. Right now it's like, okay, Web3 is, all right, go connect your wallet to this, DApp. You know what I mean? Or connect it to BSC scan and write a function or pull your rewards. But, it's projects like yourself, and my brain's kind of been going 100 mile an hour here. I'm on my second glass of bourbon, about to grab my third, but it's projects like yourself that really makes you excited for, what's next. Because that's what you're thinking about it. I feel like we're on the edge of what's next, but we're not quite there. I don't know if the 2020s are going to get us there or not, but maybe in the early 2030s. But hopefully within the next couple of years, we could get there. But it's projects like, MetaBUSD that's going to get us there, and the work that you guys are doing. So you guys are essentially creating what we're all dreaming of, whether if it's a VR experience where you can tie different projects into it. Mike always talks about, he uses the analogy, projects in Unite DeFi. If you're doing different things, or even if you're doing something similar, you can work together to help each other out, but you don't have to exclude each other. It's almost like a mall. If you're going in there to eat a certain restaurant that's only at the mall, well, that also helps the other stores there where you could see a shirt that you want, or you could go buy an iPad or whatever. So it's almost like a mall in a sense, where you have all of these different products that are offering different things. There's no reason that we can't be together and work together and help out the space. And it's all about the people at the end of the day and providing services to them. So, I'm excited to see where the project goes. Uh, will this be something that's tied so you can actually use an Oculus to be able to you know get into this lobby or some of the things that you're creating?
Yeah. So the debut release will be compatible, of course, with the Oculus Quest 2 headset. The entire Web3 lobby is built with the simplest headsets in mind. So if you have a Quest 1, Quest 2, you'll be able to actually process and run this on a standalone headset, no PC required. That being said, our debut release to the public that anybody will be able to jump on and enjoy is going to be released through SideQuest and through um, Steam. So if you don't know what that means already, it's probably not for you on that very first release. But as soon as we release it through SideQuest and through Steam, we're also releasing it through Alpha Labs, and that'll run through the actual Quest store. That'll take a little while. It'll probably take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month just for them to go through, like, stress test your code, send it back to you, and make 1,000 alterations just like for them. But it's a lot like Apple, like, honestly, when you're talking about like the Quest store itself. That being said, again, we will have it available on SideQuest, which a lot of users like currently know how to use, and then through Steam. So anybody with a PC will be able to download it on their PC, and if they have a headset that they have connected to their PC, they can run it right then and there. We will also give a download link through a website that if anybody wants to just go on and like load the APK file themselves, they can. That's currently like how we run it, like internally. We just have like a GitHub, so we push updates and we just literally run the APK from our PCs and run the app on our like headsets.
Now, on like the blockchain integration side, have you guys been able to do things like, requiring like NFT portals, where it's like a holder has to have a specific NFT to get into that lobby or something like that?
So like there's a couple things there. Like for our first off, yes, of course we have integration far and well tested. Here in the next like week to 2 weeks, depending on how some other events within like our close proximity play out, we're actually going to be putting on like a surprise event with some large project partners, where we're actually in a public domain setting. So we're going to be in alt space, but we're actually be using and running like Web3 functions built into alt space. just to show you like how we can take some of like the tools that we have and actually adapt them to other software suites. That being said, of course, it's not nearly as like robust as our private standalone application. With our private standalone application, we're able to like literally get down to the nitty gritty of every single individual Prismic interaction. So whatever we want to do and however we want to like embed or collect data, we can. That being said, on AltSpace, you've got all types of crazy rules, but we've been able to like build certain things and adapt them to there. So like if you wanted to, you could actually buy something directly from AltSpace on your wallet. If like I think the easiest way for anybody would be if they were running it via PC, but I personally, for instance, have wallets on my Oculus. So I have a MetaMask and a Trust wallet on my actual Oculus headset, and I'm able to right then and there connect and do anything I want. We will be like baking in our own wallets to our application just to circumvent anybody's issues with getting a wallet loaded on to the headset itself. That's like the quickest and fastest way that we know that we can fix it for like the widespread market. There's not, I don't know of another current wallet that's interested in pushing an application to the Oculus headset. So there's currently not a native wallet to the headset itself for like those standalone users. Of course, there is for the PC, but there's not for the standalone Oculus. So we're going to have to fix that ourselves by embedding a wallet onto the application. But we already have that worked out as well. We're not building our own wallet for that. We're just usually using an off-the-market wallet and pushing updates through our application.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I always like to hear that there's already solutions to the problems. That's always like a good thing for all holders out there to hear.
It's really interesting because very specifically you're dealing with hardware that's just like so new that you don't have that like very specific adaptation yet.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I find it's interesting looking back. Like I played my first VR game in like the '90s in a mall, like a pterodactyl gamer would just come pick you up and you were shooting people. And now seeing where it's come now, because I was like, I don't know, $10 a play at the time or whatever for a couple minutes. And now seeing that almost everyone in their house has a VR headset. And I know we got one at Christmas last year for my son, and everyone uses it. And then whenever someone comes over, they'll play it, use whatever game we have, and then next thing you know, they're buying a set themselves. So it's definitely cool. And thinking about the fact too, like a lot of people will be able to do stuff and visit places that either for medical reasons or something else they can't necessarily do. So something you thought was like super far fetched like a few decades ago is now like just a commonplace reality nowadays. So it's pretty cool to see that.
On the next Oculus upgrade, I think everybody will become like very much aware of where everything's going, because on the Cambria, you're gonna have full color pass through and full XR development. So, and like that's truthfully where everything will be like 10 years from now. It's where Apple's gonna jump to right into XR. They're gonna skip over VR. A lot of projects are skipping over VR. We personally aren't, because it's like we know that we have time right now to develop in this field and to develop these tools that are adaptable to XR and everything else. So that's what we're focused on. That being said, again, the Cambria, when it hits the market and everybody sees that full color pass through and they see like the XR developers come out of the woodwork and you see some really cool like real life experiences through those lenses, I think that'll like change the game for sure.
Yeah, man, extremely interesting. Definitely, you guys, you see MetaBUSD on the poll this week. If you like what you hear, that's what we're about, spreading the knowledge of great projects on the Binance Smart Chain. Definitely give MetaBUSD a vote. Chris, is there anything else you'd like to share? If not, maybe if there's any questions from the crowd, maybe you can come up and ask away. Typically, we'll see one here or there. sometimes it's silent. You never know what you're going to get. Chris, is there anything else you'd like to share as we kind of wrap up? And we're going on, a little bit over an hour.
Yeah, I think I'm good actually. I've got a meeting in like 20 minutes. More than happy to answer any questions from anybody. I rarely get questions when I talk. I don't know what it is, but they almost never seem to come.
Yeah, if anybody, well, I mean, you do a good job at really sharing information. Some people are talkers, some people aren't, but sometimes you have to really, we do this a lot in terms of AMAs, and you have to ask the same question 3 times to get the answer that you want. Whereas you can ask a question with yourself and you give an answer to 3 questions. So, yeah, and that's a good thing, especially when you're doing an AMA like this. But if there's anybody in the crowd that would like to come up and ask Chris a question, he's got an extremely interesting project, but he's also done a great job at explaining it as well. So I'll give a few seconds. Any questions from the crowd before we get us wrapped up here?
Well, dude, good job hosting it. I host a lot of these things, and you guys did a fantastic job. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, glad to have you on. Thanks for setting that up with us and making it possible. Appreciate it, especially being in the rewards week too. It's always nice to have the project on the week that they're being voted on. So
Yeah, and I had no idea we were being voted on. So I will get that information like to my team, and I'll have them start to spread the word on that so we can get some votes in. Um, yeah, thank you guys very, very much, and I appreciate you putting me on the poll for the voting week.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being on again. MetaBUSD, check them out. Their website is metabusdcoin.com. Remember, they are on the polls on 4 different platforms in the Variegate, Telegram, Discord, Reddit, and of course on Twitter. Again, Variegate wants to help you own the bear market. And from what Chris said tonight, again, not financial advice, but it sounds like holding MetaBUSD will definitely help you own the bear market. So until again, we will be back on tomorrow night with Bitburn Reflect that launched yesterday. That'll be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Please hop on and join us. Should be an interesting AMA. Again, thanks to the Meta Captain, Chris, MetaBUSD. Thanks for hopping on with us tonight. If you guys think of anything, any questions, feel free to pop in the Variegate chat or join MetaBUSD's Telegram. It sounds like Chris would be happy to answer any questions. So again, thanks for being on. Catch this on all of your favorite platforms to listen to podcasts, anywhere from YouTube to Spotify. It'll be there in a couple of days. Chris, we appreciate it, man. Great discussion.
Join our Discord. Don't join our Telegram. Join our Discord. That's the one to join.
Got to join the Discord. Discord for MetaBUSD. So, Chris, appreciate it, man. We'll be in talk soon. We'll let Mike wrap us up here, and everybody have a wonderful night.
I just want to say thanks again, and thanks to everyone that joined us tonight. And looking forward to our next AMA and to see where MetaBUSD coin goes in the future. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night.